All well, good. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. And I hope you're doing good. We meet again to discuss our today's paper, that is of 7th of April. All right. Yeah. Before we start, just in the comment section once, please confirm whether you're able to hear and see is the audio and video perfect. Yes, please confirm that. And we'll continue with our session then. All right. Yes. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's continue with our index and see what all we are going to do today. The first one is that in yesterday's session we saw there was some sound issue, so that's why I've moved the yesterday's topic to today's content. Okay. So executive office without limit and elastic rules, these are from yesterday. All right. We'll do that and then we'll move to India, Bangladesh, that has come into news today, and the transgender bill that has come into news today, especially with regards to mental health. Yes. Yeah. World Health Day. 7th is World Health Day. That's why today's paper is constantly talking about health and its issues. And then we have climate change and public health, and ultimately we have One Health approach. These are the things that we are going to study about today. All right. Let's start with our first topic. And let's see, the first thing that we need to discuss is the executive office without a limit. Now, this was yesterday's article, and what it was talking about is that, in fact, we have an issue here that our Prime Minister's position, we were discussing this news, right? We were discussing this news. Our Prime Minister's position is actually something that we do not have any ban on the tenure. Yes, no bar on the tenure. There is no bar. And why is that? We have bar on president's elections. Now the question is that entire world, wherever there are democracies, everywhere there is a bar on the number of times you can get elected to the highest position. Now the problem is that in India, the highest position as a de jure is what? Presidents. Now if president, we talk about president has a bar that they can get elected for 2 times. Okay. But for prime minister is not exactly the superior most position of India, right? But in executive terms, it is superior, and in fact, it is superior, right? So most of the decisions and everything is mostly carried out by the prime minister. But theoretically, it is president. That's why we have put that bar on president, but we have not put that bar on prime minister. But considering the extensions of power and how they are exercising the power, but in that scenario we would need a bar here. So the entire article is talking about how we can do this and how this might be a threat to democracy, because it has positives and negatives, both kind of situations. How so? Just take a look at it. Okay, if you say that we are to stop electing prime ministers for more than 2 terms, okay, what happens if after 2 terms also the mass choice, people's choice is still that prime minister? You are debarring them of their choice as well. You are not letting the voters choose their leader as per their preferential, right? Now, if you do that, if the representative is also not of people's choice, then president is anyway indirectly elected. Where would the representation go? Where would we actually find that particular representation, right? And if you're not finding that particular representation, that means the democracy structure is not exactly working. That is the condition if we go by putting a bar on it. But if we don't put a bar, there is also a problem with that, because sometimes what happens is a favoritism is conducted. Because of that, no other leader can come into the sphere of being the most charismatic one, right? Because of that, people don't ever look at another choices. They're not even moving towards anything else. They're not even looking for development. They're just looking for a mundane routine. That also somehow affects the democracy. In both the scenarios, we really need to rethink how Indian democracy wants to reciprocate to that, and in that manner, we need to improve our situation. Is that clear? Yeah. So that was the issue, and Constituent Assembly, how it envisioned it, was the structure we have today, right? So the core thing is that US, Korea, all these are what? Democracies, and they have constitutional limits, whereas India doesn't have any constitutional limit. Yes. Why do they put a limit? Why do they put a limit? Hi, good morning, everyone. Why do they put a limit? Let's talk about that. Why do they put a limit? Daily assessment is done because if there is a limit, every prime minister, every leader would know that in a limited time span, they have to create a legacy, right? It is not like they're going to get a lifetime of chance to do that. they have a limited chance, and in that limited time period, they have to create that legacy that they want to be remembered as what kind of leader. Yes, and then that's where we usually see better performances. We see better performances, and here in India, if we talk about, since there is no limit, they are creating policies for 10 to 15 years. Yes, they're creating policy for 10 to 15 years. Now, the problem is that you create for 10 years, but you're going to stay only for 5 years. There is the possibility that after 5 years, you're going to get dethroned. And once you get dethroned, the opposition party does not continue your policies. They are not going to continue your policies. They're going to come up with their own new policies. That way, that fluctuation generally keeps people unstable, that they don't know that whether they would have long-term benefits of it or not, right? With every coming new government, what you have to do is you have to change your own perception, your own idea, your own strategies for everything, because all the policies, all the ideologies of entire nation starts changing. Within a day, it starts changing, and with that scenario, people generally do not feel safe. Yes, so we have given them more tenures, that if people are feeling safe with particular leader, they should be allowed to have that leader for as long as they like. But when we add the point that if they can have a leader as long as they like, if they have somebody for a lifetime, wouldn't that turn India into a monarchy? Yes, because having a leader for a lifetime, that generally leads to monarchy. In that scenario, don't you think that one particular leader is going to have all the powers in his hands, and in that way we can expect them to get corrupt, we can expect them to do wrong by us? Yes, they might be doing right, but then again, democracy is still under assessment. So we need periodic assessment, and we need accountability as well from them. For this, we come back to the 10th schedule. Do you remember what is 10th schedule? Yes, do we know what is 10th schedule? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, do we know what is 10th schedule? Anti-defection law? Yes. Now, when 10th schedule came into existence, here we have seen that there is a legislative lock. If you are changing your ideology, if you do not agree with the ideology of the current government, the options to switch are very little now. After the coming of the 10th schedule, you cannot really switch. And if you're not switching, that means you're not improving to the new ideologies, right? The impact here is that it is preventing ruling parties from, getting the confidence motions and everything. They cannot have the removal also. They cannot choose the parties on their own also. The ideological shift has been completely barred, right? So where will the development come from? That is also a question. So the article is also proposing some reforms. What reforms are they proposing? They're saying that we need to restore the parliamentary power rather than having one single leader's power. Yes, if we have one single leader's power, there is going to be a point where people are going to get disappointed. There's going to be a point where the leaders are going to act for their own interest rather than acting for the interest of the public, right? There we need parliamentary power and not just one single person's power, because we're not a monarchy, right? So one single person cannot have all that power. Then we need to have some term limits, formal term limits. That's why they can, come later on again, but still we need to give people the change. We need to let people have another choices as well, right? Yeah. This was the article. Based on this, we have two main questions for you. You can try to write them. Okay, we have two questions for you. Read the questions, note down if you like, and or take a screenshot, however you prefer. The first question is: the 10th schedule of Indian Constitution has inadvertently rendered the executive immune to the daily assessment envisioned by the framers. Critically analyze the need for Prime Minister term limits in the context. Second question is related to the constitutional comparison topic, that goes: unlike the American presidential system, the Indian parliamentary system relies on convention rather than law to limit the executive longevity. Discuss the implications of an office without a limit on the health of federalism and democratic institutions in India. Yeah, exactly. These are the two questions that you try to attempt. Moving on to our next news. Yes, shall we? The next news that we're talking about is elastic rules. Elastic rules we had already discussed. About regarding the plastic. Yes, new rules had come up. What the government had decided was that, okay, if you are not to reuse the plastic or replenish it, or in any case recycle it, They wanted 100% recycling. They wanted 100% recycling. But now they saw that, okay, this is not happening, so let's come to something that we both can compromise on. So different categories. We saw 3 categories. Do you remember? 30% for hard plastic, that is not, very rigid plastic, that is not going to degrade very soon. Like that, we created different segments, right? This was from prelims point of view that we had already discussed. Now from mains point of view, what this article is talking about is that the policy evolution, if we see the plastic waste management rules, if we see the mere evolution of it, is like, you need to invest more into it because we want to reduce the amount of plastic. But then again, at the same time, is that possible? Because the extended producer responsibility that has been introduced here, the most important thing, extended producer responsibility. Please remember this, very important for prelims as well, and mains of course, but very important for prelims also, extended producer responsibility. What is the extended producer responsibility? Because since 2022, companies have, they've been required to collect and process the percentage, because we wanted that it should reach 100% by 2024-25. What they're saying is, whatever plastic you're using, let's say a company has created a bottle, okay, a plastic bottle they created, it will go out. Now they're saying that it is your responsibility, producer's responsibility, to bring this bottle back to the recycling structure, into the recycling chain. It is your responsibility, and 100%, if you are creating 100 bottles should come back. It is your responsibility to set up that chain, to set up that recollection, right? How you do that, you manage, but you have to do it. That is the option. Yeah, that is extended producer responsibility. Now in 2026, we have a new mandate where you require minimum percentage, not 100%. A minimum percentage has been set. For hard bottles, they'll have 30%, for 10%, then for 5%. That's how we saw the 3 categories, right? So that's what they're saying, that the entire evolution here comes with certain concerns. Why certain concerns? Number one concern is, as we saw, that we have given them 3 years carry forward option. Yeah, 3 years carry forward option. Now that carry forward option is generally going to make industries do nothing. What if after 3 years the company closes down? What if after 3 years they close down, they're not able to run again? Who will take responsibility of what they've done for 3 years? Who will take that? There's nobody, right? So if they're not capable today, they might not be capable tomorrow. We have to understand that. This 3-year deadline is definitely something that's going to come and bite us back. Yeah. Then the collection gap is there because Volvo is 100%, we've reached only 50-60%, and we are also giving 30% now as a target itself, right? The market-based logic is also there because trading certificates that we are giving an option, right? This will let the market economics handle the problem. But then again, strict norms for environment are definitely necessary. It is not something that we can overlook, right? Exactly. So this is what the author has warned us about in the elastic rules. Is that clear? Yes. We've already discussed part of it. We already had a discussion on this earlier before. Yeah. Exactly. Sound is not clear. Okay, just give me a second. Is it better now? Is it better now? It keeps fluctuating, I think. It should be better now. Is it better now? Is it better now? No? No sound. Hello? The students are not getting the sound. There's fluctuation. Is it better now? Please confirm. Can you hear me now? Is the voice better? Is the sound better now? Yes? Is it good now? Now it is good? Okay. Moving on to our next news. New Bangladesh India ties will avoid mistakes of past. Uh, there was a meeting held. Yes. Bangladesh and India meeting. There have been certain issues and concerns between India and Bangladesh for a very long time now. Yes, Sheikh Hasina being one of them. Are you familiar with Sheikh Hasina? Yes. Are you familiar with the name Sheikh Hasina? Thank you for the confirmation. Are you familiar with the name Sheikh Hasina? Yes. Yeah. So that was a core issue. Other than that, we have illegal migrants issue with Bangladesh. Yes. Illegal migrants issue with Bangladesh. Then border dispute. Border dispute was, however, resolved, but still there are certain areas that need fencing that we are not able to do. Yes. Yeah. So they met and decided that, okay, let's talk about it and let's figure out what we can do to make it better. And they tried to do it, but then again, at the same time, what is happening is they came up and said that, okay, we are leaving Sheikh Hasina behind. Let's not talk about that issue anymore because the person is already gone. Everything is already, finished. So why cater to something, hold on to something as an issue for a very long time and, cut our bilateral ties? So now what they said was this happens because we have contact party to party, particular segment to segment. Let's not do that. Let's have a people to people contact. What did Bangladesh say? That we'll have now people to people contact instead of having this party to party or segment to segment contact. We won't do that. We'll go people to people. That will be way better because even then if the party changes, government changes, that won't affect our relationships at all. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why they decided that let's improve our bilateral relations in that manner. What they're proposing is that we will move from individuals to people to people. Yes. Humayun Kobir, who has come, the foreign affairs advisor who has come here and said to the Prime Minister also, Tariq Rahman, that this is the kind of new administration we want and that is how we'll, leave the mistakes of past behind and move forward with better people to people contact. This is the end of Hasina era. Let's not carry forward the Hasina that which is no longer possible. And if it is not going to happen, why should we carry that burden anymore, right? Why would we even want to do that? So let's not do that and move forward with it. So the diplomatic engagement and high-level meetings that were happening, they said that from Indian High Commissioner, we had Pranay Verma there, who met with the PM Tariq Rahman in Dhaka. So their foreign affairs advisor was also there. Everybody was present, and they started discussing that how we are to do that. So they said that let's have frequent exchanges between both the nations. Let's come and talk. Let's have better dialogues, more discussions, so that we'll be able to resolve the problems and we'll be able to bring stronger ties. Yes. So for that, what they're doing is that increasing the frequency of the dialogues, they're increasing the frequency of the exchanges that they have, the trade that they have, so that everything can be focused upon and that can be increased. Yeah. Exactly. Now the issues that they discussed this time, the issues they discussed was energy cooperation, because we have decided that right now also we supply oil to Bangladesh, right? Even in oil crisis, we had to honor that deal and give it to Bangladesh. So Bangladesh really appreciated the fact that India, facing the issue on its own, still provided Bangladesh with all the resources pertaining to the treaty and pertaining to the trade deal, right? So this was really appreciated. That's why they started reconsidering the relations. Now, at this time, they're also saying that this friendship pipeline should continue. Yes, India-Bangladesh friendship pipeline should continue. 5,000 ton of diesel was also sent to Bangladesh for help. Yes, yeah. Border security was also discussed, that and will be, reducing the border firing against the civilians, so that we can have a peaceful border now, because we've already had land boundary agreement with Bangladesh. Even after agreement, if the problem is still persistent, that means there is no problem. It is just something that you want to carry on because you don't want better relations, that's all, right? Because even after the agreement, if you're fighting, then there is no point, right? There is no solution to that. Instead of that, we should leave it at all. And then trade and resources also, we've discussed that renewable of Ganga water treaty, so that they can share more water, have more water access. Ganga that is flowing into the Bangladesh, as you know, becomes Padma and then Meghna and then falls into Bay of Bengal. So Bangladesh is a very key part of that, holding Sundarban Delta as well, the region there. Yes, so the entire segment, yes, the entire segment needs to be revisited and made sure that we have better ties now, better relations now. Is that clear? Okay, still the voice is not good. Is everybody facing a problem? Please confirm. Has it dropped again? All right, that was about India and Bangladesh. That was about India and Bangladesh. Moving on to our next news, that is a disturbing step for rights, dignity, and mental health. This is regarding the recent transgender bill. Yes, a lot of changes have been introduced in the transgender bill. One of the most important changes being that earlier it had to be self-declared. Now there is a board that you have to go and talk to and prove that you are a transgender, and then you will be given a certificate for it. This is the height of humiliation that can be done. Why would anyone go through that? There'd be a board sitting right to judge them, to judge whether they are transgender or not. How would you do that? There is no birthmark, it's not written here. How would you do that, right? They'll come up and say, I'm a transgender. That's all you can do. You just give them a certificate and let them go. Let them live their life. Give them rights. Give them better position in the society. That is what you're supposed to do. Not to humiliate them. Not to call up and judge them. No. But then again, they're saying that some people who are not transgender to get the benefits of the transgender policy. In Indian society, who would be benefiting from declaring themselves as transgender? Just think. Just look at the level of acceptance the society has. Why would they want to put themselves through that? Just for a few schemes? Nobody would do that, right? They won't be able to survive that. So this entire policy is being questioned, especially regarding dignity and mental health. Like, if we make them go through this entire process, this might just be something worse than not getting recognition, right? This would be worse than that. So the article clearly focuses on the fact that the very problem that exists here or persists here needs to be resolved. How do we resolve that? We have certain things, like if you're checking their identity, if you're doing this process, there are certain things that you can do, because the amendment that was made earlier in the self-declaration or self-identification in 2014 Nalsa judgment, it was said that it is a self-identified right. You come, you identify, and you take your certification, that's it. Right? Yeah. Now the amendments that we're coming with is it replaces self-identification with medical and bureaucratic gatekeeping. Why so? Because medical officers and bureaucrats will be sitting who will judge that whether you are a transgender or not. What do you know about that? How would you be able to judge? There is nothing that you can do to judge actually. If a person says they are, they are. That's it. There is nothing you can do. Right? But still they want to do something. They'll give the certificate only after they're well satisfied that it is true. Now here the writer, that is Dr. Arora, he's also arguing that medical biomarker for gender identity, that is something that is not possible, because this is third gender. It is not like you can biologically check the body and see the gender. It is not possible. And if it is not possible, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Because scientifically it is unfounded and potentially it is very invasive. Very invasive. If you are actually going to check that, it is very invasive, and if you do that, it will not be good, right? So human rights also come into picture here, because dignity, bodily autonomy, all these things will be violated. If you're violating all that, they're already going through a lot because they don't have any acceptance in the society. And after that, you want to put them through this. What kind of a system have you developed? So this is being criticized on a very large scale, right? And ethical risks are there, biological risks are there, identifying risks are there, everything is there. And who would do that? Who would do that? Because if you have any undue influence, any such thing, then you have 15 years of imprisonment as well. Yes, the provisions have been made for protection also, but then again, it is not that good. Yeah, exactly. Now this is creating a legal risk for mental health. Legal risks are there for practitioners, lawyers, families who would say that trans affirmative support is to be provided here. But then again, to what extent can they actually give the support? To what extent can the support be done? Because we need some action here so that the procedure is not that invasive, so that their dignity is not taken away, so that it is not something that you're doing to them, it should be something that you're doing for them, because ultimately the bill is being brought up for their protection. Yes, so we need more members like that. Like recently India has gotten its first queer MP. Yes, did you read about that? India has gotten its first queer MP. Who is it? Who is it? Have you heard of that? Please let me know in the comment section if you know about it. Yeah, hello, hello, hi. Yeah, so we need more people, more representation, so that they can come up and actually share the real-time experiences and real-time facts, so that we know better to do for them. All right? Yeah. Based on the bill that we have just discussed, we have a question for you. Please read the question and try to solve. Please read and give your answer. Yes? Try to solve the question. With reference to the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act and its proposed 2026 amendment, consider the following statements. Number one, the 2026 amendment seeks to restore the principle of self-identified gender identity as established by the Supreme Court in the Nalsao versus Union of India judgment. Second, the amendment mandates the constitution of a medical board to validate a person's gender identity before legal recognition is granted. Third, it introduces a provision that criminalizes undue influence in the process of gender identification with a maximum prison term of 15 years. Which of the statements is correct? We've just discussed, okay, we have answers C, A. Okay, very nice, very nice, very nice. All right, the answer is B. It is not C, it is B. We have 2 and 3 only. The first one, 2026, it restores the principle of self-identification. No, self-identification is not being accepted. That is the whole problem. That is the entire problem of it. They're not accepting self-identification. That is what the problem is. That is what we are discussing in this article. Right? Yes? Is that clear? All right. Let's move forward to the next news, that is climate change is a public health emergency. Climate change has come up as a public health emergency. Why has it come up as a public health emergency? Because a lot of things are happening. How so? With climate change, you will see new kinds of diseases. Yes? And along with that, diseases in different places, diseases at different locations have also been identified. Especially like the vector-borne diseases. Vector-borne diseases increasing by the day because of, excessive rainfall. Excessive rainfall that leads to water clogging that then leads to mosquitoes that then lead to vector-borne diseases. So such processes are continuously happening. It has been observed that such procedures that used to happen in humid regions are now also happening in colder regions of India. Yes, they're now also happening in the colder regions of India. Colder regions, like if you go to the mountainous regions, like Branchal, etc. If you go there, even there you can see such diseases taking place. They had no mention there. They had no place there. But now because of tourism, also because of climate change, also because of the rising humidity, also because of the rising congestion, also the dust that is rising, the ill management of waste that is rising. Because of that, such vector-borne diseases are also rising there. Yes, so there's a change. But now the main important thing that here we need to see is that waterborne infections, vector-borne chefs, or any other kind of diseases are anyway increasing everywhere, right? So in the epidemic seasons like in Delhi NCR, the dengue has shifted. It has shifted from September to November, right? Why earlier it used to happen in September, but now due to the climate shift that happening in November, so just imagine the prevalent conditions that were necessary for the dengue to occur have moved from September to November. What does that mean? That means that climate is changing and the whole cycle is changing. And if that cycle is changing, we really need to prepare ourselves for that change, because ultimately our preparedness is more restricted to the older ways and the older patterns. And if we are not going to update these patterns, that means we are not going to be able to deal with this problem properly. Yeah, you understand that? Is that clear? Exactly. So now what they're saying is the air quality is also changed. Obviously, pollution has this effect. Then internal organ damage has increased because of the particulate matters. Because of particulate matters that have been rising here, this has also increased. The internal organ damage has also increased because of the rise in the particulate matters. And if this continues, there can only be more rise in the particulate matters and not decline. Right? If the situation persists, there will only be more rise into it. And that particulate matter enters into your body, enters into your organs. It can enter into your bloodstream as well. And if it enters there, it will cause such infections that it is very difficult to save the person. Such practices are happening. Yes? Exactly. So what do? There's extreme heat, there's vulnerable population, there's also there heat stress across different regions like Odisha and Telangana, which used to be very moderate in climate, had very moderate climate, are now becoming one of the most drastic heat zones, right? One of the most drastic heat zones. Sound is breaking. Okay, there seems to be some internet issue. Yes, I can see that. Okay, let us solve that, and we'll see you again after that, okay? Yeah, we discussed everything. Just one last news is remaining that you can read. Alright? Yeah. We'll resolve this. Yes, I'm looking at the comments. I'm really sorry for that. And sincere apologies for the problem that you're facing. We are taking classes from a very hilly region where the network availability is very low. Because of that, the internet keeps dropping and the voice keeps breaking. We're trying to resolve that, and we're very sorry for the inconvenience that is being caused to you. We'll meet again, and tomorrow, or when we resolve the issue, we'll meet again, and we'll cover the rest of the part, okay? Yeah, I'll be ending session now since everybody's facing issue.